Let's go. Badgers basketball is back. An interesting win. We're going to talk about it. Is this team a better shooting team? Are they going to have issues scoring at the rim? We can't take too much from one game, but let's take something from one game. All that and more in today's Locked On Badgers live reaction show. Badgers basketball is back. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Thank you so much for tuning in. Live reaction show to the Badgers basketball team kicking it off. We got a bunch of people in the queue. We'll answer any comments that come up. But first, today's show is brought to you by our friends at Betonline. Betonline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Betonline, where the game starts. Let's bring Rajiv, Justin in. Let's get started here. Let's just start it off. Let's frame the discussion to start. And gentlemen, as always, thank you for joining. The Badgers opening game of the year, win 85-59 over South Dakota. What is your, let's start with you, Justin, big takeaway that you're coming out of this game with?
I really like the balance that we saw today. And obviously the shooting looked, this had to have been better than just about any game they had last year. So they definitely, there are at least three guys that I think we feel pretty confident with putting up threes with, I'd say, Klesmit, Chucky, and Asigian. And I think Krall's actually pretty solid too.
Mm-hmm. Rajiv, man, what was your big takeaway coming out of this?
Yeah, definitely the shooting. You know, I feel like a lot of times the last couple of years, you know, we've always, and I think we might still this year, we struggle to be able to just kind of score at will. When shooting is a little cold, what are we going to do then? And I think that's still a question that we have to answer. I was hoping to see a little bit more scoring at the rim. We got a little bit, but listen, great that we made 12 threes. But I don't necessarily like that we had to take 12. Yeah, we took 26 threes. But so I don't like that. I want to be able to score a little different ways. But look, I mean, if we're going to, the shooting percentage has to be better, right? We know that from last year. If this is going to be a bit of a trend, obviously it's first game, but if Klesmit looks like he's going to have a better percentage than some of the guys last year. So happy to see that we're shooting the ball well. Really want to be able to see us score a little bit more in different ways, in the post, closer to the rim. We had a couple nice cuts tonight that I think were really good, but I want to see a little more of that.
Let me give you a good takeaway and a bad one that I had from this game. All right, and I kind of melded in with what both of you guys said. The first one is, I really think we're going to struggle against long athletic teams. I think we're going to have some points where we go cold. I don't know if we have a dude. It's not that you need a lottery guy like Johnny Davis, but I don't know if Chucky Hepburn's going to be able to consistently break down athletic defenders. And I think that could cause some issues. But let me give you a good one. So that's the area where I'm like, I don't know. The good one is I think we're deeper. I think we're deeper this year than we were last year. Yeah. I see a lot of pieces off the bench, not just Asigian, but I think Kamari McGee's solid. You know, I think there's more.
Ilver had 5.
Ilver had 5. Gilmore's a year older. Depth was a major issue last year. I think we're better there this year. I think we're a better shooting team. I worry when you play the athletic Big Ten teams that we're not going to be able to score for like 7 minutes at a time.
And that was something that has plagued us several times over the last few years. And you're right. I mean, I was watching that game today, and South Dakota's they're not some defensive juggernaut, right? So, but there were tough times. Like Chucky couldn't really get off the break. He couldn't really break in there. We don't have anybody that's going to just get you off the dribble, drive in, do a quick dish, score at the hoop. I mean, occasionally here and there, but you're right. It looked like they had that lane sealed off for a lot of the game, and that's South Dakota, right? So what is it going to look like when we play Indiana, when we play Michigan, when we play that's going to be a lot tougher.
Well, I think what we saw in this game is I agree to an extent, but I also think that South Dakota basically said, you guys proved last year you couldn't shoot straight, so we're just going to pack it in, and I think they really did. Like anytime we had a post touch, there were 3 guys diving down on the ball. Yeah. So I think we're going to see more in Big Ten play. Teams play us straight up and decide until Krall proves that he can actually, force them to double. They're not going to do it. So in some ways it will be, but we'll probably cool off from outside a little bit. But I think the interior stuff, I think both Wall and Krall are guys are quality interior guys. And I actually think that a lot of the offense is going to run through Wall this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope you're saying Wall, not Crowell.
No, I actually think that you could put Crowell on the outside and play Wall on the post.
That first Crowell shot, by the way,
it fits his offense better.
Was very impressive because he didn't have a ton of space. He just fired up and shot. Now, Mark, Jimbo, Matt, I see you guys in the queue. We're going to start getting to you. Appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. We got some comments already coming in. Mark, we're going to bring you into the show. If you can hear us, you're on mute right now. So we'll just kind of continue talking. And if you want to jump off mute, there you go. What's going on, my man?
Doing good. Good start to the season, but a little concerning with the lack of inside scoring and more shots on the outside. Just feel like need to balance it out more and just more inside scoring. And the rebounding is concerning too.
Yeah. Did anything stand out? Did anything surprise you?
Just the lack of inside scoring surprised me, considering wasn't not a high level opponent. So that's what I was surprised about.
Yeah, Rajiv, let me kick Mark's comment to you on that one. This is not a big team. I think they started off with 4 guards and a forward. The forward is smaller than Crowell. Crowell, honestly, I expected him to do a little better on the inside. They had a couple dump offs to him, a couple post touches. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think size is going to be an issue. I was actually excited to see Hodges get a few minutes late in the game. I was interested to see kind of how he was going to do.
Had a nice block.
Yeah, but, I think that, because he obviously has that size that we.
Oh, Rajiv, we lost him.
But I think it would be.
Oh, there he is.
He's back. There we go.
Yeah, Rajiv dropped. He's back. But yeah, so you were saying. Oh no, continue what you were saying.
Can you hear me?
Of the size. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I was just saying, Hodge would love to see Hodges actually get in there more and be that 5 kind of player. But until then, the thing that kind of surprised me was 46% from the 3-point line. That obviously that can solve a lot of problems. But yeah, I mean, listen, if we're going to struggle from the post at times, Wall is a master down there. But the question is, how much is he really going to be able to do against bigger defenses? And we're gonna have some difficulty there unless Hodges can come in and start playing better. Kroll does a little bit, but not much in the post, and I think we'll struggle a little bit.
I think we're going to actually play 4 out, 1 in with Wall in the middle, and they'll pull the bigger defender out if they can. I think when we see Crowell go out of games, or Crowell and Wall, if they ever get stuck doing that, I think we'll play 5 out. I think they almost have to. They're going to force the other team to go small because they really don't have the size, and there's nobody that I think has the post game that you feel comfortable. Like, you're not putting Ilver in the post and hoping that he breaks a guy down. And I don't think you feel Gilmore had a nice move tonight, but I don't think we're going to try running through him and the reserves in there. One other big thing I want to say, 23 points from the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, I'd have to look at last year. I don't think we had a game where we had 23 points from the bench the entire season.
The depth feels better with that flamethrower as Siegen coming off. Mark, anything else you got, Mark? Anything else you wanted to discuss from this game?
I don't have nothing else. So
awesome, man. No, thank you for tuning in. I think your point about the lack of post, because I had the same thought about. I expected Crowell to be a little more dominant on the inside, especially putting on weight, being 240. I think it's a good point, man. Thank you so much for dialing in. Matt, what is going on, my friend? We're going to bring you in next. But first, I want to hit a couple comments up here. Zach Bartz, who has been on a lot of our shows. Wall and Hepburn are dudes. Kuzmin into CG and showed flashes. McGee was good defensively. This feels like a team with a deep rotation. I mean, that's exactly what we were saying. This rotation feels like there's 3 or 4 guys coming off the bench that we can at least feel okay with. Whereas last year, if you remember, we were down to Lindsay having to come in and try to hit a corner 3 in March Madness when he hadn't played all year. This feels like a deeper team. I want to start here, and I want to kick it to you, Rajiv. Wall and Hepburn are dudes.
I mean, they absolutely are. And Chucky, first impressions of him was he was aggressive. He made aggressive moves. He was trying to drive. He was shooting a ton in the first half. My God, he took 3 after 3. But he knows that he has to be the guy this year. I mean, with what we lost last year, Chucky and Wall have to be the guys that lead the team. And I like the aggressiveness. And look, he's not the best shooter. He's not going to be the best shooter, but you want your point guard to take the bull by the horns and say, look, this is my team. And I appreciate the fact that he did that. And, everything down to the last shot before halftime, that's great. I mean, he has the ability to shoot well. I like the drives he was doing too. He was getting to the hoop more. He was dishing out. I think we kind of talked about he's not going to do that against all the teams, but leadership, effectiveness, and aggressiveness is what I want to see out of him. And good start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I I feel pretty like when we look at the offense in this game, it was a little disjointed, but I will say this: it was the first game, and I think there's a feeling out process that happens with that. It's not practice anymore, and I think that vastly changes. And I think we saw that even just from the Eau Claire scrimmage to this game, how different Klesmet looked. Like, I don't know anyone if you guys watched that game. Klesmet was far more aggressive in this. In the scrimmage, it looked like he was just feeling things out, kind of running things and just going with the flow. He looked to score tonight. I feel pretty good about most of the guys. I think it just feels like a very unselfish team. And I think that we'll find out with Krall, and I think that that's something that we'll watch over the course of the season. I mean, he had games where he scored pretty well last year. But if we can get him double digits every game, that's something. And that's something that he bounced last year back and forth. He fluctuated. What we need from him is consistency. I think between him and Wall, if we can get 25-ish interior points a game, I think we feel pretty good about that.
Oh, you're winning a bunch of games if you're getting 25 a game from those two. All right, coming up, I have to take a quick break, but we are definitely going to get to Matt. You are up after the break, and a bunch of comments from Aaron Kennedy, Trevin, SD, Brian, Nicholas, Dave Johns, my childhood friend Dave Johns, by the way, great guy. All that's coming up next on Locked On Badgers, but first we have to take a quick break, talk to one of our friends of the show. Today's show is brought to you by Nissan. Nissan is bringing thrilling moments of college football to you every weekend. The thrilling designs behind the new lineup from Nissan are intended to empower drivers in vehicles as capable as the drivers themselves. When I think of unbelievable abilities on the field for this week's thrilling moment, I go back to, and all the Badger fans are going to remember this, the old timers, October 23rd, 2010, Wisconsin, Iowa. Wisconsin wins 31-30 in that epic game. And my favorite play in that game, everyone goes back to that Monte Ball touchdown with 1:06 left where he had like 3 efforts. But really, Monte Ball had a play in that game earlier where he caught a pass out of the backfield on 4th and 4 to extend a drive, diving pass, Scott Tolzien. It was incredible. It was like he'd been a receiver his whole life, thrust into the moment, and he made that moment count. I was so excited. I'll never forget that game. And thank you for listening to this show. This segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, Pathfinder today, available now at nissanusa.com. And let's keep the show going. Let's get Justin and Rajiv back on. Definitely want to get Matt, have you an opportunity to come on. You've been in the queue for a minute. So what's going on, Matt? What was your big takeaway from this game? Thank you for dialing in.
Yeah, totally. I mean, can you guys hear me, by the way?
Matt, your audio is all crackly. I don't know if you're on a weird mic or...
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, you're getting some feedback.
Yeah, I'm going to mute you for a second. Maybe try unplugging and plugging it back in. I'm going to bring you back in, okay? I definitely want to hear your take on this. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and we're going to bring Matt back in. Hopefully he can get his audio fixed. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, I want to talk about some of the new players, but I found because we've been Connor Esigian through Truthers for a long time. Justin and I both, Justin more than me, but I love the moment, and I want your guys' take on this because Gray Guard is a lot like Bo Ryan, but he's also not Bo Ryan. And there's that moment early in the game, right, when Esigian fouls the three-point shooter. It was like 50-50 call. I thought he was too close. I know Justin.
He was too close, but it was ticky-tack.
It was ticky-tacky, but I was okay with the call, even though I think some people didn't like it.
I don't like when we, and I'm not talking about it from a Badger standpoint at all. I don't like when that stuff gets called, period.
Sure, but
I get it in the NBA when a guy comes down on a foot or something.
My bigger point, though, is Gray Guard. Yeah, Bo Ryan, I feel like, would have taken him.
He would have pulled him.
Like, young player, fouls a three-point shooter, he's out. What does Gray Guard do? Gray Guard lets him stay in. He comes back. He hits a three a few plays later. I think that's some of the evolution of what Gray Guard is. Like, a lot of people think he's just Bo Ryan. He's not just Bo Ryan. He's more than that.
I think he would have been pulled in the offensive foul, too, probably.
Probably. Yeah. He let him have some.
By the way,
he has to have.
I love seeing him bomb that ball stoppage 1-2. It didn't count, but it's like, man, he does not miss.
I'll just say it. He needs more minutes. Like, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. And Rajiv is like, oh, you guys.
It's early for that. I mean, it's early for that. Listen. Dude, I was
that release is as clean as it gets.
It is. And look, listen, I'm all about it. I'm from Indiana too. I love the guy. I think he's going to be great, but it's early. Let's see. I mean, look, we talked a lot about kind of before the season started about the rotation. What's the rotation going to look like? And, what do we play? Like we played a ton of guys today. So that's going to go down to 10. It's going to go down to 9.
He looks like a 12-minute plus per game guy.
Yeah, right. 12 minutes plus per game. He has a quick release. Clearly, he's a good shooter. And look,
he's got quick hands too.
Again, like I said about Chucky, he's aggressive. He was aggressive, and that's good. There was a corner. He took a 3 from the corner where he didn't hesitate 1 second. He grabbed
that was an off balance one, and he still almost nailed it.
I mean, it was, and I like that about him. This team, we talked about, the team is deep. So where is he going to fit in? Is he going to back up? I mean, look, we kind of talked about earlier. He could take Jordan Davis's minutes because Jordan Davis didn't have a great game again. And we talked about it again before the season. What was he going to look like? I was really hoping to see him shoot the ball a little better, and I just didn't see it. If Esigian continues to shoot well, he will get the Justin over at 12 minutes a game.
All right, I want to take a second, see if we can get Matt back on here. See if you fixed some of the audio issues, Matt.
Better now, guys?
Oh,
much
way
better.
Yep.
Yes. What was your big takeaway? Thank you for dialing in. Oh, no worries, man.
Yeah, you guys were talking about depth and stuff like that, and I kind of want to touch on that. It looked really good, and I think that'll be better for Big Ten play, especially with that. But I was thinking tonight, like one guy I really missed from last year's team is Chris Vogt. He had some. I thought he was a stud. Just had some really solid minutes, and I don't know. You're not going to have a guy like that, and Chris Hodges just isn't that guy, really. I mean, he has no real value on offense. So I mean, it's going to be. Yeah, he might have some. He might develop, but it just doesn't look very good. I'm interested to see how that plays out.
I think what you're looking for him over the course of the season is to provide some quality defensive minutes during the season. If he can give you 6 minutes, 7 minutes a game coming in off the bench to just be a guy who doesn't let the other team just pound the paint while those guys are out, then he's fine.
Right.
I think it's a good point, though. Vogt gave you somebody you can throw at monsters, right? Oh, yeah. You can't throw Hodges at a monster.
It depends. Well, he's not going to play Edey.
That's what I'm saying.
There's nobody at monsters. There's nobody in the league that can deal with
No, but Edey. You could throw. Vogt is a legit 7-footer. I think the point is accurate, and as somebody, by the way, the Badger staff knew that. Like they wanted to get somebody.
Oh yeah, they definitely did.
I think it's an interesting hole in this lineup, especially if Crowell misses time. Then you get into all sorts of weirdness.
This is going to be a really oddball year for college basketball in general. There's not a lot of big men this season that are well thought of. Edey's about the only guy. Mm-hmm. And I guess you could say was it Hunter at Michigan. It's probably
we're going to pick up 74 fouls when we play Purdue. Matt, stay on for a second. Let's take a couple comments too.
We're going to hit 37 threes in that game and just bomb them out.
The entire front court is going to foul out. SDN 40.
37 minutes.
And thank you so much for everyone tuning in, by the way. It's so much fun to get basketball started. A lot of people are just football people or just basketball people. I love both sports so much, and I'm just so excited for it. SDN 40 says, who's going to create their own shot? Lots of driving and stopping. This is something we've touched on a little bit. I want to kick it around the horn. And Matt, if you want to, I'll kick it to you first. Who do you feel good about on this team creating their own shot? Like, I think it's Hepburn, but.
Yeah, I mean, Hepburn's good. You guys touched on it a little earlier. I mean, it'll be interesting to see in Big Ten play against longer athletic defenders. Esigian, I guess, yeah, he was good at that in high school. It's just same deal, like longer athletic defenders. And he definitely has the quick release to get it over him. Some players, but if you're not gonna get it over a lot of those 6'6" wings, probably. I don't know.
This is where it would really, really benefit them if Wall could start somewhat consistently hitting threes, because he would be that guy. Because if you pull him out to the outside and they have to actually respect it, then he's the guy that other teams are going to struggle with, because what do you do with that? Because he's going to go by just about every power forward and center in the league. Like they're not staying in front of him off the dribble. He handles like a three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that unfortunately a lot of our offense is really probably going to be getting the ball into Wall, into the post. Defenses collapse down and he's kicking out to the 3-point line, and we're hoping people make shots. But Chucky is really the best guy off the dribble. I think I was really hoping to see a little more out of McGee tonight, and kind of whether he was going to be someone who could dribble. And I think kind of like what Justin mentioned about the exhibition and how Klesmit was just kind of settling in. I think McGee is just settling in a little bit. He got the ball. He's very quick, clearly. He works hard on defense. He's making some good passes, but I want to see if he can really be a guy that can drive him because of his quickness. He's clearly very fast. So I'd like to see more of that. And I would like to see if Klesmit can also do that. I mean, he had a couple nice drives tonight. I think that he's, we've already talked about he's more athletic than Brad Davison, but I think that he, just kidding, Ryan. But I think that he has the ability to do this to do similar things too. But listen, Chucky's the guy that's going to create that shot for most of the season.
I think the issue there is that Guard really wants him to clean up some of the stuff that he got away with playing in Green Bay. Like there's some things there that are not going to be tolerated on the court for a point guard at Wisconsin. And it's what Chucky does well. Quite frankly, he rarely turns the ball over. And I think that with McGee, you're like, hey, some of these shots, some of these risks that you take, I can't put you out there if you're going to be doing that stuff. I need you to play under control. And if you're going to use your speed, use it, in the appropriate moments.
I hope though they give him enough. And Matt, I'm gonna let you go so I get some more comments. Thank you for dialing in, man. Really good insight.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Of course, always. I hope you keep dialing in, both Matt and Mark. Really good insight on both from both sides. I hope that they take. And I'm not saying Guard didn't do that. Well, listen, we can't take too much from one game against South Dakota either. We all have more than probably anybody have a tendency to do that. But Rajiv is the voice of reason here on this show. But I will say
I feel like I'm the same way you are, man.
I hope going forward that they treat McGee and I think his best role on this team is going to be a bit of a microwave spark plug coming off the bench. Yeah. And you're going to have to live with a few bad shots and turnovers because I think you're going to get some athletic, explosive plays out of it. I want to throw a couple comments up here because I got several I need to get to. Dave Johns, the second. Favorite type of season, low expectations coming in with the potential surprise, pull off some upsets. Yeah, I love these seasons where we're predicted to finish like third to last in the Big Ten, and we're very clearly not going to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's. I think I said on the last show that we had. Yeah, absolutely, it's so fun. I love it. 9th, 10th, 11th. Get out of here. Like, listen,
we'll be a top 5 team.
We always are.
I feel pretty confident about that.
Bo Ryan started here. We're just going to be that.
You have 3 legitimate scorers on this team. Yeah. that I think you can consistently rely on. Like you could get 35 plus points from those 3 guys on a regular basis.
We obviously lost Johnny Davis and Brad Davison, but we've got people that are shooting the ball better. There's no reason to think we're not going to have a good season. Are we necessarily going to win the Big Ten? Probably not. Hopefully we do, but
that's where a Johnny Davis being gone is exactly what hurts you. They don't have a go-to. I can get whatever I want.
Yeah. We're not going to Purdue and Johnny Davis scoring 40 points. We're not doing that with anybody on this team, right?
No, there's going to be more struggles. That's what we talked about in the tight games. Like when the other team puts their 6'6" defensive stopper maniac on Chucky Hepburn. Like, and if we're not shooting the 3 ball well, which there's going to be games because that happens every single
slide goes
buzzing around me.
It's been on your hat the entire.
I know it's been driving me nuts. But there's going to be games because it happens every single year where we shoot 2 of 17 from 3, and when that happens, we're just not going to have that dude that's going to be able to break down defenses consistently. Coming up, I want to finish up here on today's show. We have a bunch of comments. I want to finish rolling through those, talk about some of the newcomers a little bit more, and get your guys' final takes. But first, today's show, I do have to take a quick break. We have great sponsors on the show. Today's show is brought to you by our good friends over at Betonline. Betonline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs and information. And again, it has every type of sport you can think of: basketball, baseball, hockey, esports, golf, racing, ultimate fighting. It's all on BetOnline, the ultimate spot to get all your live betting, futures betting. And I'm all about futures betting. I love to throw money at things that I think I'm right at, which most of the time I'm not, but I do it anyway. I have a futures bet on the Suns winning the NBA title. Of course I do. I also have a bet on the Bucks winning the Eastern Conference because Giannis is just an absolute monster. BetOnline is your number one place to do all of that. Get the mobile device, head to the website today, BetOnline, where the game starts. I want to thank everybody again. It is absolutely amazing and humbling to have anybody tune in and listen. And it's really credit to people like Justin, Rajiv, Scott, Mike when he's on the show. Everyone just makes this show so much better and this community so much better. And it's very, very humbling. So I really appreciate it as always. Let's finish off this show here. Awesome time with the season getting started. I'm like really so excited for it. I love basketball. I love Badgers basketball. We've been talking so much football. It's awesome just to see this thing in action. A couple more comments here. Let's get to some of this. Zach Bartz, depth and athleticism on the team. If they can develop chemistry, this team can be lethal. The reason I wanted to throw this comment up to you, it's really that last portion here from Zach. By the way, thank you, Zach, for always tuning into the show. What is the ceiling of this team? Like if it all gels together? And I think that's kind of where Zach is coming at here.
I think it depends on the level of passing and comfort level that guys get with each other. If they can become a extremely good passing and moving team, there's not, the sky's the limit for them if they can shoot. This is a team that's going to have to kind of do the whole Golden State Warriors way of playing, which is
without Steph Curry. That makes their way of playing tougher. Move
and pass well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're going to have to do in order to beat teams. And there's something to be said for that. The Final Four teams we had were exceptional passing teams, and that's why they were such good scoring teams. And that's something we haven't seen in a while. This is going to be a far more balanced team than we've seen. Wow, I don't even know what's the most balanced team. Probably those teams, right?
Final Four team.
Yeah. We haven't had a team like there's legitimately 4 guys who could probably score 10 points a game. On this team.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I agree. I think shooting is going to come. It's going to be how well this team can really shoot. If we're going to have those 2 of 17 games in the Big Ten where we don't score for 8 minutes and we put up 33 points in the game, well then we're going to have a bit of a low situation. But I want to see more movement. I want to see more scoring at the hoop a little bit. And then I think as long as we can keep shooting and we get these new guys to kind of fold into the offense more, like we've seen tonight a little bit, I think this team can go a long way. I have no reason why we can't finish in the top 3 and surprise people in the Big Ten. No reason.
Yeah, I think top 3 is probably ceiling.
Yeah,
for me. If they if they can keep shooting like this, teams will start to play further out on them, which will open up the paint a little bit and give them some things to work with.
You know what that'll really do? It opens up Tyler Wall, because last year at the end of the year they were just collapsing on Wall because we couldn't shoot. If we can suddenly shoot, Wall's a monster in the paint, and then your offense gets super scary because he can also make the passes. Let's keep going here. We got a bunch more comments. Some of these we're just going to read off, but I want to do it because I really appreciate it. Trevor Varon. And again, I apologize if I mispronounced the name. Badgers look good from 3. Wall shot well. Wall looked good. And Nasigi in quick release. 100% agree. Brian Lashed. Mark mentioned rebounds. Wall with 10. Crowell with 3. Defense, all defensive rebounds. Crowell's were all defensive. Wall had, I think, 3 offensive and 7 defensive. Issues with Crowell rebounding. Did it feel like a bit of a soft game for Crowell?
I would have to look at where he was on the floor a lot. It felt like he was out on the perimeter, which is going to affect your
and he doesn't play as many minutes as Wall either.
Yeah.
I do want to see Kroll get a little bit tougher on the inside.
He does. He definitely has to play more aggressive.
Like Wisconsin's really good at developing guys in their post moves. At least Bo Ryan used to do that a lot in his time. And I think that he's a big guy. We need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, 240 put on the weight, but it feels like he's still growing into that a little bit, like he's not quite there fully comfortable. Nicholas Freemailer, again, this is more CG in love. I listen, I love it. I'm here for it. His shot looks uncontestable, really quick release. Even the shot he missed in the corner looked like butter.
It looked so good, pure. And he wasn't afraid to take it, which I love.
I really wish we had a bigger player to play off of him for a 2-man game to pick and pop. Because you would see him have some ability to really torch teams. I don't know if we're going to have that. Like, who are you going to 2-man game him with right now? You could maybe do Crowell, but I don't think Crowell's he's not a guy you want taking a ton of threes.
He's not going to get a lot of attention from defenses, though. I think he's going to have plenty of chances to really bury teams if he shoots well.
We'll start running plays for him.
I just smiled really quick because I just realized who we're going to 2-man him with. It's going to be Gus Yalden next year. And it is going to be sorry, I should keep it focused.
It's going to be or Nolan Winter if he can somehow put on about 20 pounds.
Man. Let's see. Let's get some more comments in here. Jordan Love era. It's going to take like 10 more games until we start seeing catch and shoot sets for Klesman and Segan. I think we already saw some from Klesman today. We saw some down screens where Klesman ran off, got a couple really nice open looks. I think I do agree though. I think we'll start seeing more sets run for Connor if he continues to shoot well. Goes 2 for 3 off the bench.
His shot is, we saw good shooting today. His shot, you could see the difference between him and everybody else. It's just pure. Like you watch, like that one that he took in the corner, like we talked about, he missed that. That was a extremely tough shot. Like most guys would not even draw a rim on that, and he barely missed it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a guy that if I would not be shocked if he shoots 40+% this season. I think that he's going to be that for his career in college.
Another over under here for Justin. All right, 40%.
I love it. We're just continuing to heap it up on Connor. I want to finish here, and again, I appreciate every single person listening. We have, I think, 40 something people watching right now, plus obviously Rajiv, Justin, all the people that made comments, people that jumped in the queue, Mark, Matt, and everyone's going to continue to watch this after we post it. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you that enough. I want to finish up here. Any last takes? Do you feel better or worse about this team after watching them play, admittedly against a not very good opponent, but do you feel better or worse after watching game one?
I feel better. And coming into this game, what I wanted to see was what the new guys were going to bring. And I was really impressed with Klesmet today more than anybody. I just thought that the energy he brought was really strong, aggressiveness. I wanted to see the leadership that Chucky, had today. Wall obviously was a beast. So yeah, I feel better because look, if we're going to win games, we're going to have to shoot. And it's not just about how well we shoot. It's about how many shooters we have now. We have a lot of people that can, I mean, even if Klesmet's not shooting well on a CG and is, or if Hepburn's not shooting well, maybe, Crowell is. We have a lot of guys that can now put it up there. And when we're in our offensive woes, when we're in those moments where we're just not scoring, I feel comfortable in that we have more people that can attack and that can score. So yeah, listen, first game, South Dakota, nothing crazy. Excited about Stanford coming up, excited about Dayton and the schedule. But yeah, I definitely feel better about it because I feel like we have some weapons and we're a deep team like we mentioned.
I feel better. This is actually, South Dakota was not a bad team.
It's true.
They're actually considered, somebody said their RPI or something like that was like, or Ken Palm was like 180.
They're a good mid-major.
Middle of the pack.
Like they have
mid-major
good
school
backcourt.
They are, for you to drop or put a 25-point win on a team like that to start the season, that's a good start. We're not playing, let's say, a bottom of the MAC team or something like that where, or East Illinois or something like that where we should win by 50. This is a team that will be pushing and potentially, who knows, maybe they end up getting in and backdooring into the tournament.
Yeah, I feel like this is a cop-out. I feel about the same. They shot well, but I saw some things that – here's another thing. Here's another really quick thing that bothered me that I meant to bring up earlier. I didn't bring it up. Curious, and maybe I'll end on this, but I'm curious if we have a defensive stopper on the wing. There was a stretch where they were getting a lot of penetration. I don't think Klesmet's that guy. I don't think Jordan Davis is that guy. I don't think Hepburn's big enough to be that guy. I don't know.
Jordan Davis can be that guy.
It's Connor.
Jordan Davis can.
He can. Over under 7 steals for Connor. Go, Justin.
It's going to be Mike Kelly 2.0.
Go ahead, Rajiv. Sorry about that.
Wow.
No, I don't know if they were really getting, especially in that first half, their backcourt.
Well, I mean, he had some tough shots, though.
But some of those weren't tough shots. Some of those were mid-range that he just created space against. Yeah. Again, that I'm not saying we don't. I'm saying a concern coming out of this game may be, are we going to be able to stop good two guards in the Big Ten?
I think that's a legitimate concern for everybody, though.
And I think that's one of those early season things. Defense kind of settles in a little bit, especially with Greg Gard's defense. It's gonna take time, and I think that they'll settle in. They'll understand, their positioning and the right moves at the right times. So I'm not. Look, obviously, we could have a big concern with it, but I think that we've got enough athletes out there to do that, and I think we can be fairly strong defensively because we have a good system that allows us to be a strong defensive team. So I don't see any reason why that won't be the case this year. It's a concern, but I think it's really early, and they're going to settle in. We're going to learn a lot over the next few games. We're going to learn a lot.
It's an inexperienced team, if you think about it. I mean, the guys who have played heavy minutes are basically Wall, Chucky, and Crowell, and I guess you could say Klesmet and McGee.
McGee a little bit, yeah.
So, but guys,
even McGee is just a sophomore.
Yeah,
Hepburn's just a sophomore. They played minutes, but they're still young.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of those guys, we're going to see leaps and bounds come from this, and that's this team could be really, really good. It could be. I will say this: they seem like an above-average basketball IQ team. I think they play hard, at least based off the first game, and I think the defense. We're seeing effort, which is all you can ask for to see the start. Like we're not seeing a lot of lazy things on defense where guys are getting easy lay-ins and stuff like that because guys aren't doing their job. So we did a pretty good job to start the season defensively. We saw effort. Guys will clean things up. They'll get more efficient with it. You know, the goal is to be by tournament time to be ready on defense to pack it in on teams.
Right.
I thought the effort was really good. Let's finish up here because we haven't talked about Jacoby Neath yet. We just had a question in the queue. So this will be the last one of the show. Jason Symes, by the way, thank you so much for tuning in and getting a question here. Really do appreciate you jumping on the show. What is Neath, Jacoby? Yeah, he said Jordan Neath, but I think he means Jacoby Neath's role in the team going forward. He doesn't seem to have a role when he's on the court.
He hit a nice three. I think if you're talking about a guy that's athletic enough to be the stopper, like I think he's the most athletic.
He could be the guy.
He's probably is. He's not going to provide a ton of offense. I think you could probably get an occasional three from him in the corner, but if that's his goal, like I think he's definitely athletic enough to defend a guy and give effort there. I just think that he's going to be you're going to be playing 4-on-5 mostly on the other side of the court.
I think Jason brings up a really good point because, I mean, I feel like I felt like this last year a lot too. I mean, he kind of just seems like he doesn't fit in well with the 5 on the floor. He never really seems to fit in well. I agree. I think there's going to be times where we're going to need him to have a bit of an offensive spark at times. He obviously can play good defense, but I struggle with I think that when we get down to 8-9 man rotation, I don't think Jacoby Neath is going to be in it this year. I just feel like we've got some new players, and I think he's going to be kind of pushed out of that rotation. That's my prediction.
I disagree with you, but I'm very interested to see it going forward. I think he will be in that rotation, but I definitely see where you're coming from, and that's definitely something to track because this rotation is going to be fluid.
But by the way, I'm going out there before we get done with the show. CGN will be the next Brad Davison. Every team, when I'm saying this, every team in the Big Ten is going to hate him because you can kind of see that he's got some swagger to him.
He does have some swag,
and there's
no doubt.
Other fan bases are going to hate that.
I love how much you love this guy, man. I love him too, but you are like you are on next level. Right now.
Don't get me wrong. Like I don't know what his ceiling is. I just like the way he carries himself on the court. Yeah. Wisconsin hasn't had a guy like this in a long time.
I thought you were going to say, I don't know what his ceiling is, but it's probably somewhere in the NBA upper tier.
Yeah. I mean, like journeyman, like only like
journeyman first team all NBA. Yeah. All right, let's wrap up there.
Greatest shooter in NBA history.
Before we dive even further off the Esigian bandwagon here, our pool, we all love him. His shot is so pure. Thank you everybody for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. Thank you Rajiv and Justin as always. Matt, Mark for dialing in. Everyone that had the comments, really do appreciate it. Want to know, and a bunch more basketball comment coming up. Obviously, we got Stanford next, which is going to be a big time matchup. A lot of fun there. And a bunch of football our football shows coming up, commentary coming up. Big game this weekend against Iowa. This is Locked On Badgers. Appreciate everybody tuning in on Wisconsin, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.